Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about 4.8D solution as complex numbers. So you are going to find the solutions of quadratic equation in the form of complex numbers. So before we start today's lesson, can you do the do now? So please find the zeros by using quadratic formula. You know the quadratic formula is here. So I know you can find the zeros by using just by finding factors or by using the Kim's method. But today, please use a quadratic formula, show the work. All right, I'll give you about 4 minutes. All right, let's go over together. So to use the quadratic formula, you should figure out what is A, B, and C. A equal to 1, B equal to, there's no X, which is 0. C is this number, -4, right? And then plug these numbers into the formula. That's it. So let's plug in. -0 square, not square, negative B is 0, plus minus square root 0 square minus 4 times A is 1, C is -4, and then over 2 times A is 1. If you simplify, -0 is 0, so you don't need to write down. So you will have only plus and minus here, and square root. 0 square is 0, and minus minus become positive, and 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. So square root of 16 is equal to what? 4, right? Because it's a 4 square. Square and square root cancel. 4 will be left. So, and then 4 and 2 cancel. 2. So you have two solutions, 2 and -2. Everybody understand? If you know how to use the quadratic formula, today's lesson is almost over. Just a little bit, let's talk about. So we have a function x squared minus x plus 4 equal to 0. But before we do this function, let's figure out. So we are going to talk about discriminant. If you know the discriminant, we can determine how many zeros are in this quadratic functions. Before you get the exact solutions, you can just approximately figure out that you can figure out how many solutions are there. So discriminant, what this determine the number of zeros? You see here plus and minus, right? Because of this plus and minus, eventually it becomes two solutions, you know that, right? But now, after this plus and minus, what do you have? Square root of b squared minus 4ac. Square root of b squared minus 4ac. So depending on these, you can see how many solutions are in the function. So b squared minus 4ac, we call it, this is a discriminant. Discriminant, in short, D. So this D discriminant help you to determine the number of zeros, how many zeros. So b squared minus 4ac. So if you solve this, you can figure out how many solutions. So for example, if this is negative, what happens? If you put the square root -4 in the calculator, what do you get? Error, right? Square root of cannot have a negative number. But if you have a negative, it's error because it's not a real number anymore. We call it imaginary. So if this is D is less than 0, as you see in the graph, there will be no intersection with x-axis, which is y equal to 0 line. No zeros, right? So when this is negative, b squared minus 4ac is negative, no zero. But if this becomes 0, what happened? Whole square root whole thing becomes 0, then plus or minus will be gone, right? plus or minus 0, you don't need to write down n0. So x will be negative b over 2a, which is vertex formula, right? So look at this. Vertex become the 0, right? So we call these double zeros. So when d is equal to 0, discriminant is 0, you have double zeros. So only 1 0, but twice. It's happening twice when d is equal to 0. How about when this is positive? Mostly we did this one so far for many days, right? So when this is positive, radical, this is a real number. So you have two separate, zeros, right? So how about this function, x squared minus x plus 4? How many zeros do you think you will have? Without solving it, quickly we can determine by discriminant, right? So let's see. To get the discriminant, b is negative 1, a is 1, b is negative 1, c is 4, right? You plug in b squared, negative 1 squared, minus 4 times 8 times c, 414. Negative 1 squared is 1 minus 16 is negative 15. So what do you expect? Yes, you will have no solution because the discriminant is negative. So you can determine how many zeros the function has how many zeros by discriminant b squared minus 4ac, right? Do you understand? It's not much challenging, right? So now let's try with this one. Okay, if you have a negative 1 is in the other side, what do? First step, yeah, you move to the left side and then right side becomes 0. So what do you get? 4x squared minus 12x plus 10 equal to 0. And then to find the zeros, you use quadratic formula now. So I don't think it's factorable. You cannot factor. First, if you factor, do the GCF, right? But now let's just go, let's use a quadratic formula directly. So a equal to 4, b equal to negative 12, c equal to 10. If you put these numbers into the function, you will get these. So right, but be careful, the negative b. So negative is already should be there, and the b is a negative 12. So I put the negative number in the parentheses, all right? You should be very careful. Many people make a mistake with this. Negative, negative b. Negative, negative 12, because b is a negative 12. And plus minus square root, negative 12 squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. If you simplify, this is positive 12 plus minus. If you put the exactly like this without square root, b squared minus 4ac. If you put the b squared minus 4ac in the calculator, you will get negative 16. So what do you understand? These were negative 16, which is negative. How many zeros? No zeros, no solution, right? So imaginary zeros. But still, we can. So sometimes, the question asks you to find out imaginary zeros. Then let's find out, continue to solve the problem. So let's simplify. So 12, you can separate this into the two fractions because 8 is a common denominator. So two numerator will be separated by the common denominator 8. So 12 over 8 plus or minus negative 16 over 8. But negative number in the square root, we say this negative in the square root becomes imaginary number I. So it'll come out as I, come out of the square root as I. And then the rest remain in the square root. Everybody get it? So negative in the square root becomes I. Now, let's simplify, continue to simplify. So 12 over 8 become 3 over 2. Square root of 16 become 4. And then 4i, I times 4 is same with 4i. We prefer to put the number first and the I later, like a 4x, right? Instead of x4. 4i. Simplify again, 4 and 8 becomes 1 over 2. 1 over 2, 1i is same with I, right? And then you can separate into the two parts, plus or negative like this. So you have two solutions, 3 over 2 plus I over 2, and another one 3 over 2 minus I over 2. But these are imaginary solutions, which means there is no real solutions, right? They are two imaginary solutions. Imaginary is not the solution. So in the graph, this will never touch x-axis, right? Now, if you go to the Google Classroom, you can find a question. Can you answer it? After this, I want you to try this one. So if you, this is a plus bi form is, so imaginary solution image. So can you try this and then compare with the answer I give you? All right. Let's do it together. A is what? 2, B is 5, C is 8, right? And then what do? You just plug into the formula like this. Negative 5 plus minus square root of 5 square minus 5 square minus 4 times 2 times 8 over 2 times A is 2. And then simplify, negative 5. 5 square minus 5 times 4 times 2 times 8 is a negative 39. You can use the calculator this, but you need to show these steps, all right? Step by step. And the negative becomes what? I, right? Comes out as I. And then separate into the two fractions. So we are done, but you should know that this is two solutions. So you can write down this solution and this solution, all right? So today you can finish your assigned questions and hand in by 8 p.m. Okay, we'll stop here.